Welcome back to Gentle Growth with Ivy. As always, I am Ivy, and today we have a very special guest with us. Her name is Nicole Cilano. Nicole, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hello, my name is Nicole Cilano, and thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here with you today.
Thank you.
Yes, so what I do is I help people, I help physicians battling burnout rediscover joy and meaning in their profession. And this is something that I'm very passionate about, the type of work that I do, because I know what it feels like to be stuck between a rock and a hard place
Mm-hmm.
want something different, want some change in your life, and you're not quite sure how to go about that or what to do. Um, because sometimes when we try things that people suggest, mindfulness or journaling, and all those are great tools to utilize. However, sometimes for some people in certain situations, maybe that's not the beneficial thing for them. Excuse me.
Right. They need a little extra.
Exactly. Our mind is such an amazing, intriguing thing because when they say mind over matter, it really is about the mind over the matter because
Yeah.
our mind can determine how we behave, how we comprehend things, how we receive things, if we take it personally or if we let it just blow over. And our life and things that we experience and events, how it can shape the way that we think, the way that we behave.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just such an interesting thing. And um, especially when you're a physician battling burnout, you're taught in medical school to push yourself and go hard. And
Mm-hmm.
you know you set aside important things like family and events and birthdays and holidays just dedicated to schooling and learning and getting to a point where you can finally feel like you can breathe again.
Mm-hmm.
And then once you're out of medical school and you've done your clinicals and now you're in the office with the patients, and some of these physicians, the workload is just it's
It's heavy.
exactly. It's
They're
very
all overworked.
exactly. And that creates that continued like that burnout. And you're already taught to kind of set yourself aside and your needs aside and focus, on one thing. And now you're focusing on your clients. And, that can take a hit with family life outside of work now that you're an actual, you're a physician, you've got your license. And it can also put a strain on relationships that you have, your colleagues. Maybe you won't even find things that, you once enjoyed as enjoyable,
Mm-hmm.
like playing tennis or going for a walk or, just simple things that you used to do that you once enjoyed. That that specialness to you, it just feels like it's just not, you kind of feel numb in a sense.
Mm-hmm. Because whenever you push yourself to the side for so long and you don't focus on yourself, you lose yourself. It's you almost become non-existent in your mind. When other people are like always first, your brain forgets that you matter too. The things that you enjoy matters, and it has a positive impact on your entire life whenever you put some focus on yourself.
Exactly. And then because you've been learning that to set yourself aside for so long, now that when you try to go back and do those things that you once enjoyed, it's like your mind is like, nah, this isn't working for me. This is not,
Mhm.
I don't feel the same anymore. It takes working through this burnout in order to be able to enjoy those things again or even find new
Absolutely.
things. Yeah, even find new things that you enjoy now.
Hmm. And I think that applies to so much more than physicians. I know you work specifically with physicians, but I think that the tips and knowledge that you share can help anybody because I know for the longest time I struggled really, really bad with anxiety and depression. And I thought I had it under control with therapy and meds, but then I had a baby, my most wonderful pride and joy. and I completely forgot how to put myself first and how to make sure that my needs were met. I was definitely a chronic people pleaser. And so I was just worried about keeping the house clean, keeping the baby happy. And, they're all very important things. But
Hmm.
I completely lost myself. I stopped doing any hobbies. I stopped doing anything for myself. There's, times I forgot to even shower and feed myself because I was so focused on being a mom and being a home taker and being a partner and supporting my partner and his work life and all that, and I was just so focused on everything outside of me that it completely broke me down, and I wasn't able to fully care for the others around me like I wanted to.
Hmm.
And that's when I had to bring it back in, and I had to give myself some focus. And now it's the thing of you can't pour from an empty cup. And something that I really like is to be so filled within yourself that you have an overflow and an abundance that you can allow to fill other people's cups. But you got to make sure your cup is full first.
Exactly. That's a great analogy. I was just thinking that. That's perfect. And
Awesome.
I'm so glad that you were able to do that for yourself, because
Hmm.
sometimes for others it is very hard to get to that point where you've been able to come back
Hmm.
and refill your own cup first.
Yeah. And unfortunately, there's people that don't, so they just live the rest of their life not understanding that they have to take care of themselves. So, and I love that you work specifically with physicians because physicians, it's like that's all the time. Even when they get home, they still have all the knowledge that they have as a physician that they're going to apply to their home life as well. So I'm really interested to hear what you have to say about that.
Yeah, and I do want to also, I don't solely work with physicians.
Oh, good.
I do work with many other people, and they come to me with various other problems. It's not just specifically, I do specialize in burnout. However, I've helped so many people with many other problems that they've been facing,
Hmm.
from behaviors to mental, the way that we process things, trauma.
Hmm.
um, there's so many other things, smoking, habits, hangups. There's so many other things that what I do can help others.
Yes. Yeah, I've been following your Instagram for a little bit now, and you do share some very helpful advice.
Yeah, and I want to be a resource for people, because I know what it feels like to just want that change and
Hmm.
still just not know how to attain that for yourself.
Hmm.
Because we only get one life to live. And
Yeah.
like you said, people who continue that process of taking putting others first before themselves, what kind of life is that? I
Yeah.
mean, I understand, the love and the care is there, but for yourself, and the love for yourself and the care for yourself, what
Hmm.
kind of life is that for yourself?
Yeah, you have to live for yourself. You can't just live for other people.
Exactly. And
Hmm.
yeah.
It's really, it's kind of like the butterfly effect. Whenever you make those little changes to take care of yourself, it can make a big impact on those around you. And that's something that really helped me on my journey
Mm.
was because I was so focused on taking care of others and keeping others happy. And then I realized I can't even do that because I'm not doing it for myself.
Mhm.
And even if I was giving good advice, how can they take that advice from somebody who's not practicing it?
Yeah.
So,
So how if I may ask, how have you, because sometimes when we make a change in life, oh, I'm going to start doing this for myself. I'm
mhm,
going to show up for myself in this way, and we start to do it, but it's very shaky because we've known this other way and this habit for so long that sticking to that can be
mm,
a challenge, finding that time every single day or every week for yourself to do something special for you. It can be a challenge in itself. So how have you experienced? How have you been able to make that change, and make it a for sure thing for you?
yeah. So basically, it started super small, super, super small. first I reached the point to where I knew I had to make a change. I knew that what I was doing was not sustainable, and it almost felt like I was bringing down the people around me rather than lifting them up like I wanted to. So that's whenever I knew I had to make a change, and that gave me the motivation. And then I reached out. I spoke to a therapist. I spoke to friends. I did research, and everything seemed simple. And I didn't want to do it because I was like, there's no way that this journaling, this meditation, this mindfulness, there's no way that that's going to fix me. My problems are far too deep. I can't do that. And I put it off and I put it off and I put it off. But I just kept seeing it. Every time I would research, I kept seeing those things pop up. And I was like, okay, what the heck? 2 minutes a day. So I try to dedicate just 2 minutes a day to doing something for myself. And doing it, whether it was a journaling, whether it was mindfully, um, whether it was seeking support. I had to do something for myself that made me happy. And for me, that was things like coloring or listening to music and dancing, going for a car ride to get some Starbucks, doing some window shopping. Those are things that bring me little bits of joy. um, so I did just little bits. And then I've seen the impact that those little bits gave me. And it was like, even after 2 minutes of mindfulness or even a 5-minute guided meditation, the clarity that I felt afterwards and the calmness that I felt, it was like, okay, I've been doing this for a week. I want more. And so I would do just a little bit. And honestly, it was just little bits, and they
Mhm.
all added up. And I still struggle to this day. I'm definitely not perfect, nor will I ever claim to be. I still have my struggles for sure, but now I have coping skills that are actually healthy, not just, sitting and scrolling on my phone whenever I'm frustrated. Rather, I can take some deep breaths or do some movement or something. Um, and so I have better coping skills in knowing how calm and how much clearer my mind is after practicing those. That's what keeps pushing me to keep going.
I love that you continue that motivation for yourself and continue to see yourself as a priority.
Hmm.
Um, so, kind of what I do when it comes to the process that I do, I utilize a technique. It's called ACH. It's Advanced Conversational Hypnosis. Now,
Oh,
it's not like traditional hypnosis.
I've never heard of it.
Yeah, it's more advanced, honestly, because in traditional hypnosis, you're typically only getting about 10 to 15 minutes of actual like therapy addressing the problem.
Hmm.
And with what I do, my full session is 100% focused on the problem. So it really helps because focusing on the problem the entire session helps to work through that problem and
Hmm.
what created this problem, what knots there are that made this bigger problem that you're experiencing, whether it be burnout or something else. Because as you peel back those layers of that onion, you realize, oh wow, okay, this is why I feel this way, and this is why I behave this way, and this is why I
Hmm.
don't take care of myself in this way. And sometimes we can analyze and reanalyze our problem and why we are the way that we are, why we do a certain thing, or why we're experiencing burnout and not taking advantage of, that self-care and that self-love. We may know that there is a part of what created this problem, but it's not the full problem. And
Yeah.
so what I do is I help my clients get to that core root, and they're able to work through it within themselves and what is the best technique for them going forward for that positive change.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that because it really, whenever you find the root and you can really work through the root, it can make a big change. I know something for me that I struggle with as a mom is my kids like kind of loud noises and or like throwing a fit for no reason and stuff like that. And I know it comes from a multiple other root problems, but I learned a fact recently that was really interesting to me. And it was like biologically, we are designed to kind of keep our kids quiet whenever we feel like we're stressed because back in forever ago, whenever we were stressed, that's usually when something like a bear was chasing us. And so if we're stressed and our kids are making noise or, whining for no reason, things like that, then we need to keep them quiet so that the bear doesn't find us. And so sometimes I'm like, okay, calm down. There's no bear chasing you. Your kid is allowed to cry for no reason, and they're allowed to be making these loud noises.
Hmm.
And I know that's very simple and not entirely relevant, but but it's whenever you're able to realize the root of a problem, it's easier to shift your mindset and tackle the issue a little bit better.
Yeah, and understanding, because I've helped people who've experienced where, the child was being loud and they just wanted the child to be quiet,
Mhm.
calm down. But one thing that I've helped a client with was to understand where that problem came for them.
Mhm.
And they were raised in a home that they had to be quiet. Like
Mhm.
it
Children
was.
are to be seen and not be heard.
Exactly. And it's how sometimes it can also be how we are conditioned as children
Mhm.
that can lead into how we parent as adults.
Mhm. Yeah, that's definitely something that I'm passionate about now is better parenting than what I was raised with or, what's been known and common for so many years. And
Mhm.
it's it's hard to change stuff like that because we are going against what we were brought up with, and then it kind of we see the faults of
Mhm.
our parents, which is hard because we also have the empathy of knowing that they were just trying to do the best that they knew,
Mhm.
um, and so that now we're just learning more so that we can continue to do the best that we know to do.
Exactly. And and one great thing that I love about what I do, and why I'm so passionate about it, and I cannot express how much I love this technique, the ACH that I do, because w- helping the client to understand the problem, but also see it, it's almost like you take a step back and you
Mhm.
look at it and you're like, oh my gosh, okay, that is why this is happening. And it's not just the fact of, oh, okay, that it is just what it is, but they're able to work through that and come up with new ways that stick
Mhm.
for them to move forward, and how to navigate and how to behave and think, because it changes so much. And this change that my clients come to me for, or the problem that they want to change, when they make that change and they've unraveled all these layers, it trickles in other parts of their life. So
Mhm.
if they come to me for one problem, it will change other parts of their life in a positive way.
Mhm.
And it's just mind-blowing how fast it works, because typically when clients come to me, it takes about one session.
Wow.
And that's because, I mean, if you imagine you've had this problem, 5, 10, 20 years, and you've tried all these different techniques to help you change this for yourself,
Mhm.
and you still haven't been able to do that in the way that you really, really want. And then they come to me and I can help them change it in one. Sometimes it does take 2 sessions.
Still,
Um,
that's powerful.
it's very powerful. And to have that change going forward, like you come in for my sessions are typically about 1 to 3 hours. And to
Okay.
have that change, like right after that is just,
Life changing.
it's life changing. To me, I feel like it's such a blessing.
Yeah.
And I know what it feels like to feel helpless and hopeless and want to
Hmm.
change. And it's one of the reasons why I do what I do is because of that, because I know what that feels like, and I know how hard it is to just mentally feel like, oh well, this is just my life,
Yeah.
this is just it, and just kind of chalk it up for it is what it is. But we
Yeah.
don't have to live like that.
No.
We don't. And like I said, it's we only get one life to live. And if I can help someone change a problem that they've been experiencing for so long, and they have tried different avenues, and they really just want that change now, and they don't want to wait, and they don't want to keep trying other things, then what I do is, it's like the perfect thing for them, so
Yeah.
long as they're ready and willing to show up for themselves and be open. It's There's going to be change in their
I
life.
love that.
Yeah.
I love that. I think anybody who truly wants to heal, they have to open up to that kind of growth mindset. They have to be willing to make the change, and they have to be willing to see the positives.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because I know I was in a very fixed mindset a few years ago. Whenever I had multiple diagnoses of severe generalized anxiety. I was anxious all the time. I was taking a high dosage anxiety med 3 times a day, and then I also
Wow.
had generalized depression. I was depressed quite often, and I was even on a high dose depression med as well.
Mhm.
And then I was diagnosed with ADHD and then PTSD on top of that. And I was like, well, like, I'm screwed. Like, how am I ever going to obtain happiness? How am I ever going to live a life where I feel fulfilled?
Yeah.
And I felt doomed. I was like, I'm doomed. Like, this is it. My life is going to suck forever. And then I was looking into stuff. And like I said, I was just like, no, this is going to work.
Hmm.
But then I just tried it. And that really opened up my mindset whenever I just tried it and I seen the difference. And I was like, whoa,
Oh yeah, that taking that leap of faith and just
yes.
being ready for that change and being
Hmm.
open to it. Yeah.
Yep. Oh, I love that.
Same.
Love it. And it kind of reminds me too, I listened to another podcast by Cameron Rosin.
Mhm.
I adore him. I don't know if you know who he is. Um, but he says something often that I really like, and it's about perspective. And it's how two people, two friends who know each other, or even strangers, can walk in to the same exact place at the same exact time and do the same exact thing, eat the same meal, have the same conversations, and walk away with a completely different memory of what happened
Yeah.
because their perspective. One person can go in and they can notice how, you know, the chef seemed agitated and, this and that. And the other person can remember how the music kept cutting in and out or something. And the other person can remember how the waitress seemed a little sad or something. Like, your perspective truly,
It's everything.
it's everything. It really affects the way that you see things, the way that you process them and take them in, and then in turn, it affects your behavior and affects your mood and all that.
Exactly. I love that. Yes. I
Hmm.
mean, man, it really is. It
Hmm.
and each person is different in what we've experienced to make us perceive things the way that they are. How it affects us in just daily life, everything.
Hmm. It's all very different.
That's
So, are you able to share like what one of these sessions could kind of look like for you? Like what somebody would expect?
so that's interesting. I do get asked this sometimes. So when a client comes to me, we start talking about the problem,
Hmm.
how they've tried to fix the problem. It really is only just a conversation.
Yeah.
And just talking about the problem, and as things come up is how I change my tactic and navigate, to help the client unravel these knots.
Yeah. It's
And
very customized.
it is very customized. No session is the same. Even if they come to me for the exact same problem, it is not going to be the same.
Right.
Yeah, because as we see these subconscious moments come out. It's That's where the trance happens, and that's
Hmm.
where the change happens, where the client is really able to work through that problem, because our conscious mind likes to think, it knows how to fix the problem, how to
Yeah.
behave. Yeah. it's
It thinks
it
so.
it's that, that darn thing, man. It does like to think how, we're gonna, like how you say, how we perceive things, and then our conscious mind will react or behave a certain way. And where we really get that change is in the subconscious mind. That's
Hmm.
where we're able to work through those things, and heal and let go and process things that need to be processed. And so I help my clients get to that subconscious level where they're able to work through those things and really make that change. And that's where that change sticks. Because when
Hmm.
clients come to me, I want to make sure that the the change that they're wanting in their life, that it sticks. Because,
Hmm.
when you start talking about something, um, and you get like really motivated, you're like, yeah, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this. And maybe a week goes by and then you don't do it as much, and then 2 weeks go by and it's just, something that you don't really take that time for anymore, and
Hmm.
it fizzles out. So what I do is really helps the client to I test the client to make sure that that change is something that really stuck, because I don't want them to have this problem anymore, and
Right.
they don't want to have this problem anymore.
No.
So I want to make sure that it's a change that's going to stick for them.
Hmm.
And if I see any doubt within that, oh, yes, this is for me, then we go right back around and we do it all over again, because I want to make sure that we get everything that has created this problem to make sure that it's no longer a problem anymore.
Yeah, you gotta really work with like the whole puzzle, all the pieces. It's all got to come together. And
Yeah,
yes, I like
yeah,
that.
yeah.
I like that.
It's an it's an interesting process, and I'm here for it. I absolutely love it because I love seeing those aha moments.
Hmm.
It I sometimes I feel like I'm on cloud nine more so than my client when when they're done with the session.
It's really nice to
It
really help somebody to that moment.
Exactly, because it's everything. Having such a life-changing moment it's so beautiful to me.
Hmm. I mean, that's what we're here for. We do different things, but we're here to help people and to help them move through things and actually live a happy life,
Yeah.
because we've been there. We
Mhm.
understand the cloud, and we don't want to see people walking around with their sad clouds all the time. And we help them, shoo it away, push it away, and figure out things to help keep it away as well. So I
Right.
really like that. And I absolutely think that what you do, I know it does help people because you have helped people, but like I truly believe in that as well, because I know there's times when I can start talking kind of subconsciously, and things just start rolling and rolling and rolling and rolling, and I'm like, whoa, where is this even coming from? you know?
Yeah.
And so I really like that you work with that, because that really is like, it's like our true self. It's the self that's not, it's kind of like it gets to push away the ego and it just lets everything out.
Yes.
And that's what you need for healing.
Yes.
Hmm.
And in the sessions, the clients, they put themselves in a state of trance as we're
Hmm.
talking. And some people might feel like, oh, that's a scary thing, or they're gonna start taking over my mind or telling me what to
Hmm.
do, and that's not it at all. I feel like hypnosis really does get, a bad rap,
Hmm.
from movies and, stage hypnosis and all that stuff. Or they're gonna make me do all this stuff, but
Yeah.
that's not it. Like, I never told my client something to do, because if I told you how to make baked ziti, okay, and I told you, and I
That's
told you
something I
how to,
make frequently, so it's
oh,
funny that you
okay,
mentioned that.
perfect. So let's say I told you how to make baked ziti, but you didn't
Hmm.
like the way that I make baked ziti. You wanted to make it the way that you wanted to make it.
Hmm.
What really is going to work after, at the end of the day, is how you want to make it, not how I want you to make it. And
Right.
that's what I really help my clients do, is find out what the best technique is for them going forward, because they know what it is, even though right now in this moment they may not know. Inside their brain, they do know what is the best technique for them to fix this problem, and how to
Hmm.
proceed forward in that positive way that they so
Hmm.
desperately want. And it's inside of them, and that's what I help them to obtain. And getting to that state of trance really helps them to work through those things to get that change.
I love that.
Yeah.
What are some of the things that you have helped your clients through, if you're able to share some?
Um, I've helped with weight gain, or I'm sorry, losing weight.
Hmm.
Smoking. I helped a lady quit smoking within 4 hours. She'd
Whoa.
been smoking for 30 years, could not get herself to quit smoking, and we got her to stop in 4 hours.
Wow.
Yeah, the client that I helped to lose weight, she'd been trying for a while, and a couple months after our session, I reached out, to her to see how everything was going. She is continuing to lose weight even to this day. I've still kept in touch with her, and
Wow.
um, things like trauma, sexual trauma, love for your children, or allowing to be loved, that can be
Hmm.
a hard one, especially if you grew up in a very traumatizing, childhood.
Hmm.
It can be hard to accept certain things. And, they just want to be the best parent that they can be, or the best person, and receive that love.
Yeah.
Um, anger is another one where I had a client who's in AA, has been sober for many years, and just would have explosive anger, and
Mhm.
wanted to get rid of that. And the client could not tell themselves that they love themselves, because I asked, I
No.
was like, do you love yourself? And they're like, no, like, that's not possible for me at all.
Wow.
Like, it wasn't even a glimmer of a possibility in the client's eyes. And at the end of the session, the client kept telling me, I love myself. I forgive
Oh,
myself. I love myself, and kept repeating it over and over. And it was
that's
I,
powerful.
that anger, that explosive anger is gone.
I
They
love
didn't
that.
feel like they could express themselves. They didn't know how to express themselves in a healthy way. And so they were able to figure out the best way for them to express it in a very, very healthy way. And it was just amazing, especially when we grow up by example. It really trains our mind on how we should act, and just,
Hmm.
yeah. Anyways, it
Yeah,
was
healing. Yeah.
um let me think of some other ones. There's multiple ones. Anxiety, depression, I've helped with that.
Wow.
um oh,
It's really
panic
powerful.
attacks, yeah, I mean,
That's
love,
awesome.
self-love, that was another one.
That's awesome because I that's something that I struggled with myself, was like anger, frustration. I still have, some areas there that need improved. And self-love was a huge thing. I thought it was so silly, self-love, like that's like, honestly, I thought it was stupid.
Mhm.
And I had such a negative outlook towards myself. I was like, I'm the root of all my issues, which was true, but I that wasn't an excuse to be mean to myself, it
Mhm.
was an excuse to better myself.
Yeah,
Um, and so I know how long it took me to do that on my own, and it took years, and I'm still working on it. Um, so the fact that you can get that done, and it may seem like a long session, but honestly, that's such a short amount of time when you compare it to how much time other people will do on their own.
exactly.
So that's amazing. I
Yeah.
really, really love that.
And I do help my clients with this, but I've also received my own treatment in the
Mhm.
same technique. Um, and it has helped me tremendously because one thing that I did struggle with was self-love.
Mhm.
I would beat myself up to the point of where I felt like no return and
Mhm.
such depression and um
Oh, I'd be stuck in bed for days.
it was,
Days.
yeah, you utilize sometimes, you know, certain substances to try to cope with life and,
Mhm.
and I've just healed and gotten over that. I love myself so much. It is
Mhm.
crazy the
And you allow
confidence that
that
I
to
have.
overflow.
Exactly. And
I
and
love
it
that.
flows in so many different other parts of your life too.
Mhm.
And I am just so grateful.
No.
Ugh, sorry, I'm gonna tear up.
No, hey, you
It's
had me tearing up earlier whenever you said that guy was saying, "I love myself. I love my," like, I literally, my eyes started watering because I was like, I relate to that. Like,
yeah,
that is powerful.
it's so powerful, and it gosh,
Go you.
yeah, I love it.
Go you. I love
Uh,
that, you went through it yourself and you found what worked for you, and now you're using that to make major changes for other people. I love that because that's what I want to do. I'm
yeah.
still new in all this. I haven't even had my first real client yet.
Hmm.
So hearing that other people are doing the same thing that I'm doing, it's motivation for myself as well.
I love
Um,
that, and
yeah.
you are gonna be awesome, and
Thank you.
everything. It's gonna be great, and when you're able to help your first client, and that sense of just gratification knowing
Hmm.
that you were able to touch just even one life,
Hmm.
it's just it's so amazing, and I'm so
Yeah.
excited for you.
Thank you. I
I'm
know
s
I've been very helpful to a lot of people like my whole life. I can just, especially after my postpartum era, because I was very open with everything. So other people would reach out to me on social media, and I would just, talk to them for a little bit, and they would come back with, they would tell me how motivating it was and how I truly helped them.
my
And
gosh.
it's really, really nice.
Ugh,
It's such a push because it continues to push me too. Because even whenever I have my kind of pauses in life, I don't really like to call them setbacks. I like to call them pauses. Whenever I
mhm,
have those pauses where I'm like, is this stuff really working?
mhm.
I have to remind myself, like, yes, you're in
Absolutely,
pause right now. It's still working. It's helped you, it's helped others. Keep going.
absolutely, and
Yeah.
you've seen that, like, with those
Hmm.
people reaching back out to you and letting you know, like, it's so uplifting.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. I love
Just
that. Well, we could talk for a while. It does not seem like we have been chatting this long. Holy cow. Is
yeah.
is there anything else you would like to share before we get out of here?
I do want to let people know that I am doing free consultations.
Mhm.
And I would absolutely love to help anybody who has a problem, even if it's not burnout, anything. I would just love to be a resource to help them. I'm on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Facebook. The best place to reach me would be through Facebook. Just look me up with Nicole. That's going to be Nicole. And then my last name, I know it's a little bit different. It's Cilano.
Mhm.
And on my page, there's my Linktree link, and if you click on that, it will take you to my link tree and you'll have access to all my YouTube. You can get signed up for a complimentary consultation, so we can chat and see if we would be a good fit for each other in helping to get rid of this problem.
Wonderful. And I'll make sure to put all of that in the description of this podcast for anybody who um, needs help getting there. I want to have I'll put your link tree there and your Facebook and all that as well. And let them know that you do offer free consultations because that's awesome. I do that as well. I know a
Awesome.
lot of people are like, a little leery about trying new things. And so I love offering free consultations so that you can really, touch base and get a little feel for each other. And because, not everything's a one size fits all. So it's
Ex-
good to have a little
Exactly.
free trial.
Yeah, and it's good to see, if it would be a good fit for,
Hmm.
you and them, because
Hmm.
if you're not able to help, then, at least you can communicate that. But if you are,
Hmm.
then it's perfect. It's a great way to, you know, explain exactly what it is that you do or how you can help, or, sometimes it's nice to even just as the person on the other end to be able to talk about the problem.
Hmm.
Sometimes that in itself is helpful.
It is. Yeah. I mean, I know a lot of my healing definitely came through a form of like talk therapy,
Yeah.
just talking about it freely with no judgment from the other side and just somebody to just listen and genuinely care.
Yes.
um it really makes a change. It's better than just talking to yourself or
Oh yeah, it almost feels like a little bit of a weight, kind of gets lifted, and you
hmm
can kind of breathe for a moment.
yeah, it does. Talking to the right person makes a big change. So I
Absolutely.
know a lot of people are surrounded by negative people where if you go to them, it's a very common thing in motherhood, going to somebody else and, expressing that you're exhausted, that you're drained and stuff. And they're like, well, you signed up for this. What
Yeah.
did you think when you were having a baby? And that's not helpful. So you
Mm-mm.
need to talk to the right person so that you can get some ways to work through these because if you're feeling an emotion, it's valid.
Yes.
I don't believe in invalid emotions.
Yes.
If you're
I
feeling it, there's a reason.
exactly. And there's something behind that feeling that really needs to come out.
Mhm. Absolutely.
Yeah. Thank you so much for having me on your
Yes.
podcast. I am so grateful and appreciative to you. Thank you so much.
Thank you for
I
coming. You have a lot of valuable information.
Thank you so much. I really do
Yeah.
appreciate you.
Oh, all righty. Well, you have a wonderful rest of your day.
You too. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All
Bye-bye.
right. Bye.